Welcome to Those Guys Sports. It is your boy Mike. This is my Raptors Weekly podcast. What are we gonna talk about the Raptors week? I have like a bunch of random trades that I had. There was a report. First of all, like and subscribe, follow on social media platforms. There was a report about Tyler Hero. And it was such a random report that I feel like some people in Raptors Twitter space got a little too crazy about. The Raptors are looking into Tyler Hero. The Raptors are interested in Tyler Hero. And one person did say, like, why would the Raptors want Tyler Hero when that money that they are agreeing with Tyler Hero, they just said no to a Fred VanVleet. So why would they want Tyler Hero when they just said no to a Fred VanVleet? I get it. I can see the points that people are trying to make. The thing with Tyler Hero is that he has proven it in the playoffs. He was a guy that was with the Heat come playoff time during the pandemic, and he showed out, became like a star within his role. Now, of course, he's a guy that lacks defense, doesn't play any fucking defense. He's a shooter though. He's definitely a shooter. He's a guy that people were thinking would be the sixth man of the year. He was a guy that like if the Heat had him, maybe Jimmy Butler wouldn't be tired. I know some people are doing the Bill Simmons coins this phrase, the Ewing, which means when a good player or great player, depending on whoever the player is, leaves the team gets better. Coming from the fact that the Knicks made it to the finals without Patrick Ewing. And now with Miami Heat, they made the finals without a Tyler Hero. Now, would it have helped have Tyler Hero? Yeah, but then people are thinking that Game Vincent wouldn't have been such a star he was, and Max Strus wouldn't have been a star. Duncan Robinson came back to form. So all these things happened during that time. Now, in saying this, would I like a Tyler Hero? Well, I'm the same person that's asking for an Anthony Simons. So if I'm asking for an Anthony Simons, I can ask for a Tyler Hero. I can't be picky, but do I think the Raptors need a guard to make them better? Yeah. Do I? I'm thinking more and more like getting a player like that would help if you still had a Fred VanVleet. Yes, I do think so. What's the ceiling of this team? I'm not sure. This Raptors team. I told myself I was gonna make a video about Pascal's leadership, but like I'm afraid to make that video about Pascal's leadership. I'm afraid to talk about Pascal for 10 minutes. The moment I talk about Pascal, he could be traded. There was a report as I am recording this, once again from Mark Stein, that he does not want to go anywhere and resign. He doesn't. I think he is doing what a lot of players are doing, which is getting your money, get as much money as you can now, because the Raptors are gonna have to pay for him. So you get as much money as you can now, and then you ask to leave later. But does Pascal want to leave? I don't think that's in his character. A lot of guys from overseas, that's not really in their character. They're built to me like tougher to deal with tougher situations. If Giannis leaves, he's gonna leave because he just like chooses to leave, and he's not gonna ever ask for a trade. Like I don't see Giannis asking for a trade. Luka's never gonna ask for a trade. Dallas can really mess up. He's not gonna ask for a trade. That's just not how they're built. They're not gonna do that. If it is anyone, it would be Luka. If anyone, it's Luka. Embiid may never ask for a trade. Embiid may go like, if you guys are not gonna do it, could you like shop me? He may say it nicely. He's not gonna go out there and be like trade me right now like James Harden is doing. He's not gonna do all that. I don't see that happening. Um, but I do like the fact that the Pascal trade talk has gone down. There's not much to really talk about that. It's gone down. I'm glad. It was on borderline sickening. Definitely check out the TikTok of me just going crazy about it because it was getting kind of like just weird. The Pascal talk, as if he wasn't an all star, wasn't a potentially an all NBA player for the third time in 4 years. Like just come on. Hopefully he'll make an All NBA. He'll be 3 times in 5 years. That means he is a top three. You're in a top three power forward. I know right now like the way positions are, like Anthony Davis is not really seen as a center. Like now he's really seen as a when he's really not, because then that would make him the third best center because you can argue that Embiid and Jokic are better than him. One being the MVP, one being the Finals MVP. So I don't know about all that. I still think Anthony Davis is ideally within his position of power forward. That's Anthony Davis. And I think Pascal is. And if I talk about power forwards, like even Carl Anthony Towns is now considered a power forward because he plays with Gobert, who's conventionally a damn center for sure, for sure. So it's weird. So it's like Pascal is in that weird spot. Some people also think Pascal's a center, or like he played the five when the Raptors. He really didn't. It was more Scotty and OG did. Pascal never really played the five. I think Pascal's always been a forward when it comes to the Raptors, or he almost played like a point forward more than anything. Yeah, so it's kind of weird. Now, before I talk about I mentioned Tyler Hero because I have like three trades that I did to get a Tyler Hero. I think one of the trades I didn't get Tyler Hero. I think I got Anthony Simons, but it's like a 14 trade. But you'll know that's like most of the podcast today. Like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, I still think the Raptors should get a guard. I hear that they're looking for a guard. Maybe you can be a part of this deal of a Tyler Hero, a Damian Lillard, that whole situation that's happening with them. And I don't think you don't get Kyle. I'm thinking you get Kyle. Does that open up your cap space for $30 million? Not really. I don't think the way people are doing the math, it doesn't really open it unless you trade a Boucher, a Thad Young, on a Porter for Kyle Lowry. Then yes, you open that cap space for next year where you got to sign an OG, where you have his bird rights. You got to extend Pascal, same thing. But and then the only person you really got to pay is Gary Trent, who I swear they're working on an extension, but I haven't really heard anything from. But all in all, the Raptors still need a guard. I like the Jalen McDaniels pick. I like the Dennis Schroeder pick. It's one of those things that like I'm assuming he would have then went back to the Lakers, but it really seemed like after Fred got signed, like Lakers wanted Gabe Vincent. I think that's what they were looking for. So I can see that was always happening. Nothing was changing from that standpoint at all when it came to them. So they always want to give Vincent there, and then sort of would have just been chilling there. So I feel like potentially, if they were to have signed, this is me just fantasy booking, wrestling term, but like fantasy booking, like we would have got Fred, and then Dennis could have got a cheaper contract, maybe maybe like go a 2 year like 25 mil. It's 14, like it's kind of what he's getting now, but like 2 year, maybe 25 mil again, but it still would have been bad. That's your backup point guard. And I think if Fred was just started with Dennis Schroeder as your backup point guard, you're not hating that at all. Dennis is a guy who can start some games, who can play crunch time minutes. He's a guy who can consistently play defense. Some moments hasn't been the greatest, but it wouldn't be the worst. That's all I'm trying to say. It wouldn't have been the worst if that was the decision that was made as a whole. But yeah, Vanessa Schroeder, I still think should come off the bench. But if he's going off the bench, Gary looks like he's going to start. I know I heard, I think it was, oh my gosh, Paul Jones's brother, the Mark Jones. He had said that he's looking good. That Gary Trent's looking good. But that's just off season. Everyone looks good. I do believe Gary is a really good player. I think if Gary Trent Jr. becomes this like shooting guard that can play like a Bradley Beal. I think Raptors Steel's sky is now like the sky is higher. Like the sky is was always unlimited. But if Gary Trent Jr. can become a really dynamic player, your sky gets lifted even higher. And I really think that's something that I would like to see from a Gary Trent. All in all, it's something that I'm believing that he can do. I will no, I really do think the best version of Gary Trent is a bench guy. But I'm hoping I'm wrong. Like, I'm really hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping he becomes such a dynamic shooter at all three levels that his jumper gets better, his 3 point shot, his corner three, um, his above the break eye three, like all that stuff. His pick and roll ability, his handles, all those things can get better for Gary because I think Gary's only 23. If Gary can become a top 10 shooting guard in the league, like once again, you have a top 10 small forward and OG, a top 10 power forward and a Pascal, like a top five power forward in Pascal. Then you have Scotty, who's consistently growing, who I believe can be a great, point guard for this team because I know they don't want to see it, but I've always said it. Scotty is like a better shooting version of Ben Simmons, a better shooting version of Draymond Green. I don't think Scotty is going to be this. He can still be an all-star like Draymond Green was. That's the thing. But I don't think Scotty's gonna be your like number one guy. But I think Scotty is one of your guys. I definitely think Scotty is one of your guys. Now it's all about what you put around him. Scotty Barnes' greatness will be having a bunch of shooters around him. Same with Pascal. That's why, like, as much as I love Pirtle, if Pirtle shot the three well, then it's somebody that you believe would match well with a Scotty and a Pascal if Pirtle shot the three, but he does not at all shoot the three. So it's kind of like, once again, fantasy booking, wishful thinking. All in all, like I said, Gary Trent would be, if he can become a great shooting guard, that would be like spectacular for the team. Like spectacular for the team. Now, in saying that, should I just go to my trades? I should. Like, Raptors need a guard. They're looking for a guard. Who knows what they'll get? Everyone's looking for a guard. Now let me go about my trades because not much in Raptor land. They weren't that great in summer league. It's okay. They won their last game. Grady Dick was shooting well. Camp was pretty good as a shooter. So I think they have to make their decision on him shortly. I think they're going to make the right decision and not keep him. That wouldn't make sense unless you really believe that's a Duncan Robinson like first 2 years in the mix with Joe Camp, a guy that you want to play. Then you do it. It's one of those things that like you need to get a guard. You need a guard, and how are you gonna get the guard? I don't believe that's it. So the main thing with the trade is the Heat and the Trailblazers. They're the two teams that want to do the trade. I don't think the Blazers want to do the trade at all. They do not like the package. I think it was up to them. They would rather call the Pelicans and be like, "Hey, what's up? Bring Trey Murphy. We definitely want him. We need a shooter, and that's a guy that we can have on our squad. They have a couple other young guys on the squad as well. They probably have to do a big contract. They need someone with money, so you probably have to do a big contract. You may not think, and see now I'm going on a tangent of other teams, but a Dame for Zion. Once again, if Zion's healthy, the Pelicans can win a freaking title. I do think Zion is that, especially with the Brandon Ingram. I really see like that Giannis level dominance in Zion, the shooting ability like Chris Middleton and Ingram. They don't have a point guard that plays like defense, but this is where like if Fred went to that team and you traded like, oh my God, it's good on the signing trade. Once again, I'm fantasy booking. I don't want a fantasy book, but all I'm saying is that's a squad that like if you have to think about a Dame with a Brandon Ingram would be nice. And then the Dame with CJ again, like, yeah, he has CJ again, but he has a Brandon Ingram. They actually have that wing guy. Like, CJ can play off guard once again. They can have a few other guys on the squad. If you're trading for Zion, you're not trading for picks. There's no way Pelicans could trade one pick, if anything, but I'm the one who's losing Zion. That's just throwing it out there. But that's who the Blazers want to trade for. They don't want to talk to Miami. Yeah, Miami can give you like they said that Miami can be 3 draft picks. Okay, so unless like Brooklyn is in the mix and Brooklyn's giving me that 2028, 2030 pick because those are the Phoenix Suns, which will probably be bad picks unless Devin Booker, just ages well and he stays on the team and Ayton ages well and they get more guys and KD will be retired by 2030, more than likely. So like he'd probably be in his like 26th year if that was the case. So like all that stuff is not happening. But yeah, like it's just one of those things that actually wouldn't be. He'd be in his 22nd year, I think. Yeah, because Katie came in 07. I'm not really doing the math right now. 23rd year, he'd be in 2030. I don't know, man. The way LeBron's going, LeBron's about to go to this is not LeBron's last year. LeBron's playing this year, and the following year will be LeBron's last year for sure. He just wants to play with his son, and that's it. But yeah, like if the Blazers can pick, they don't want this. They don't want because unless you're getting, like I said, Brooklyn's pick, getting the Heat's picks. The Heat are normally a good team. They're normally drafting like bottom 15. Yes, you're Portland, you have your own draft pick, but you want something that's worth it. Like, and I'm not sure if it's truly worth it. I don't think the Portland, when I was doing all this, I didn't see Portland's pick for 2024. So, but you got Scoot, you got Shaden. I think you're okay. Like, I don't think you need to like you don't need to worry. Like you're trying to trade Nurkic as well. I don't know what team would need a Nurkic. I think I added Nurkic to my last trade, which is the more blockbuster trade. But it's one of those things that you're really gonna have to think about. You don't just make these random trades. But that was the kind of spiel that I went on. Hold on, let's talk about the first trade because every trade you got to talk about. I realized for all the trades I did, like it's just Tyler Hero coming back for the Raptors, and it's a Raptors podcast, so I'm mainly going to focus on what makes the Raptors better. Now, this first trade isn't really one that I think the Blazers would take. I'm going to be honest, but it's one of those like Dame really just wants to go. Let's just help him out. We don't want Tyler Hero. Raptors are calling. What can the Raptors do for us? So for the Raptors, to get Tyler Hero, simple. I think what's they're getting Tyler Hero, they're getting another shooting guard. I know one thing someone said is why would the Raptors want a shooting guard in Tyler Hero when they have Gary Trent Jr. I don't think anyone's ever going to complain about having more scores. I just don't think so. As long as you can play defense around them, I think it's good. I think it's only going to make a Pascal, a Scotty Barnes, an OG better. Now, does that hurt OG because OG wants as much ball handling responsibilities? Yeah, it potentially does. But I think having another ability, a person who can score, another person who has the ability to come off the bench, just like a Gary Trent Jr., I think it's better for you. I would like a Tyler Hero. I just think the Raptors, and I really felt this way more when Fred was on the squad. I'm not sure if I feel as much now. I think they need like a whole talent overhaul. If I'm being honest, like I think if I'm truly being honest, the Raptors would only keep. I wouldn't trade Pascal because I think it's stupid, especially for what the potential offers I'm hearing are for. Like, why did Rudy Gobert go for 4? Why would I trade Pascal for like one draft pick? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Unless Scoot was coming, then I would understand. But yeah, I would go Pascal, of course Scotty, and those are the two guys are the most untouchable to me. OG depends on the package, and everyone else depends on the package. Everyone else is tradable, but Scotty and Pascal are the most untradeable guys. Scotty being the most untradeable, then Pascal. It would really depend on the package with Pascal. I think I said like a week before that maybe Scotty's the one that's the most tradable. Once again, if Scotty's for Dame, then I do the trade. Like I do the trade. Scotty, Dame, whatever other people get a pin, then I do the trade. But yeah, that those two guys are the most. Like it has to be a star level package that I get back. Like has to be star level that I'm excited for going forward. Okay, let me get to this thing. Um, First, we go. Tyler Hero goes to the Raptors. To the Trailblazers, it goes Kyle Lowry, Otto Porter. You get the 2024 first rounder for Miami, which like I said won't be crazy. 2026 Raptors. That may not be crazy by that time because Scotty will be older, OG, Pascal will be much older. And even Tyler Hero will only be 27 at that time. Tyler probably on another contract. But I just think it's just an extra draft pick by then, something you can potentially trade, especially if you're growing the two guys in Scoot and Scoot and Shaden Sharp. And then also you get the 2027 Miami Heat pick. Now, probably you need an additional pick for Dame Lillard, but I'm also thinking like you don't need like that much crazy picks. I realize the guy that the Trailblazers will want is Jokic. His name is Jovic, Nikola Jovic. Him, I think they would want him too, so potentially just put him in that pick as well. So let's go Tyler Hero, then for Raptors, Kyle, Otto, Malachi Flynn, uh, 3 first rounders, plus a no like all unprotected, and then a Jovic as well, with the Heat getting a Dame and a Chris Boucher. So the Heat actually get a lot better with, of course, Dame. Lose Tyler Hero, but they also get a solid big in Chris Boucher. For the Raptors, they lose an Otto Porter. So you're losing a shooter. Once again, you lose a Boucher as a shooter. You lose Malachi as a point guard. So you are losing some players, and you lose a draft for 2026 for Tyler Hero. But I think if you believe in the future of a Scotty Barnes or OG, getting a Tyler Hero on that contract could be really good in the future. I think it'd be a tradable contract in the future as well. So that's something that I just the first one I did. Like I said, I think a Jovic would be a good added person for the Trailblazers. I understand the want of picks. Like the Oklahoma City Thunder have 37 picks in the next, I think he said 5 years. You can't add all players. Like OKC already has, they pretty much almost have their core already. Shea, Giddy, Chet, Jalen Williams, I'm not sure if the other Jalen Williams would be included, but let's say they have those four: Giddy, Shea, Chet, and Jalen Williams. Those are their four guys. So potentially they may need a actual big center to put Chet at the four, Jalen Williams at the three, Giddy at the two, Shea at the one. So they probably need an actual like five, big five one day. But it was one of those things that maybe you just like you trade your draft picks for already made five in like a Miles Turner, a Pirtle to get them over the top because they have the superstar player. Plus, they have the extra guys. They also have a guy in Chet who he's probably going to be rookie of the year. He's more my betting favorite than Victor, just because Victor, I believe there'd be a lot of like they're gonna sit him down a lot. I don't think he's gonna play every game, so I could see that happening as well. Even though he's 19, why would load managing at 19? Whatever. It's kind of stupid. But yeah, so I just don't think Portland needs to think about getting all these draft picks because they don't make us better. I think if you have Scoot and Shaden, you have the two building blocks already. You have a Chris Murray who is a really good shooter, just like his brother. I think it's a guy who can play on a playoff team just like his brother did. Immediately have impact because I just believe those type of players I think are on teams. I think we always focus on this high like I don't use certain names, but we go for name value a lot. Where when guys win titles, it's a lot of these other players that are making names like Christian Braun, who played for Denver, wasn't a guy. He played for Kansas, but wasn't a guy that was a highlight. But he was a guy that like everyone's talking about. Like he's gonna fill a great role now that uh what's his face is gone and like he Bruce Brown is gone. Like he's gonna fill a role, and I think sometimes you need solid players who could just play quality minutes. It doesn't always have to be a star name, but I think you have two stars in Scoot and Shaden. As if I'm Portland, sometimes I'm like, I get they don't want a crazy package, like they want a crazy package for Dame because it's Dame Lillard. But I'm also thinking like you got the two building blocks. Like you got the two building blocks. Your next year draft, you focus on getting a nice big, or you call Detroit, who has like five bigs, and be like, hey, for one of these picks, can we switch for Jalen Duran? Maybe they'll do it. So I don't know, something that I would think about as well. But yeah, that's the first one. I know if I had to rate my own pick for this, I'll probably give it a C plus. A C plus. I think because for the Raptors, I think it's good. I think for a lot of, I think what I did on Trade Machine is only 1+win. Same with the Heat, they only got 1+win for Dame, but I don't think that's real. The Blazers, people may give it a D for the Blazers because they probably want so much. The Rudy Gobert package was such an outlier package that I think it's ruined like anything people can think of. My next one, which I think is a little bit better for certain squads. The thing is, I didn't bless the Raptors with a bunch of random players. I didn't bless them with Nazir Little. Once again, this is my second one. This is the Raptors still getting only Tyler Hero. I'm trying to be as fair as possible. Only get Tyler Hero. Maybe they'll get like a second rounder somewhere because they are taking on the contract. The Blazers get Kyle Lowry, Malachi Flynn, Duncan Robinson. So they're increasing it. Now they get a first round pick from the Heat, a 2024, a 2026 Raptors least favorable, so a pick swap pretty much. 2026 first rounder, a 2027 Miami Heat first rounder, and the 2030 Miami Heat, because you don't know, maybe one of those picks would be good. But they get four picks. They get Kyle Lowry, who they can just waive. Duncan Robinson, maybe midway point, you can trade him for like maybe something small. You can trade him for a team like not the Lakers. Lakers don't really have one. Maybe the Phoenix Suns don't have it. Maybe the Warriors may give you a Moody. Maybe give you a Moody and a pick or something. I don't know. But and then the Heat get Damian Lillard, Chris Boucher, almost the same package, plus Thad Young. So the Heat get like the veteran leadership in Thad, Chris Boucher, and Damian Lillard. Now with Kyle Lowry being dropped, selfishly, I'm thinking where would he go for his like I think he has when he look the Heat needed him. People act like the Heat didn't need him. He was the third best player for them. He really was. He was the guy that Eric Spoelstra, who a lot of us would say is the best coach in the league, trusted in the final few minutes. So, and I mean, he played a lot of fourth quarters in the NBA Finals, played a lot of fourth quarters in the Eastern Conference Finals as well. He was doing his thing. As much as people can hate some of his tactics, hate some of the ways he plays, blah blah blah, he did it. But if I'm being selfish, you get a Kyle Lowry, you have another backup point guard, give you 12 minutes a game, dude does a lot of little things. I think can help The young guys, I don't know, just something to think about. Heat once again, to get Dame, to get Chris Boucher, nice quality bid, and Thad Young comes off the bench. Now, I didn't include the Jovic guy because I'm thinking maybe the Heat fight that, hence why they add another pick. So they trade three of their picks, plus they get the Blazers get a Raptors pick. Who knows what the Raptors are going to do if they tear it up? Maybe that could be a really good pick for them. Maybe you go top 10 protected if you're the Raptors, and all the Raptors get is Tyler Hero. Now, as an overall trade, I think this is a B plus trade. B plus trade just because everyone kind of gets what they want. Blazers can come off contract, get 4 draft picks. The Heat get their star and Damian Lillard, or another star to pair with their two guys, their 2 stars. A nice quality backup. The Raptors get a good quality shooting guard. Do they lose a pick? Yes. Maybe they just have to do something like maybe gets a second rounder somewhere, or just really protect that 2026 pick. Maybe a first rounder that if you don't get it leads to a bunch of second rounders. But yeah, I give it a B plus, man. I think it's something that the Raptors would potentially do. The Trailblazers and the Heat, why not? The Trailblazers, you're getting 4 picks. You're getting 4 picks now. Minnesota and the Jazz had a like Minnesota was bad trade, one of the worst trades of all time. You're the way they're thinking it, the Blazers, they're thinking, can we get that shade, Gilgis Alexander type package, a young good player. But at the end of the day, when the Clippers traded Shea, they didn't know this Shea was going to happen. If the Clippers knew that this is the Shea that would come, they wouldn't. I don't think, as much as you want to build stars, you have a stadium in Inglewood that's growing. You would rather that. Trust me, business person all thinks about winning now and longevity future. They would rather make sure that this guy is, and I mean, Shea Alexander is on their squad. They can make the rest work. They'll make the rest work. Shea is a top 10 player in many people's eyes. I don't think they would want to ruin that if they knew he was going to become this player. Yeah, but I give this trade a B plus. For the Raptors, some Raptor fans may give this a simple B, but once again, the winning totals are all off. The Blazers are also going to be bad too, so they'll have their own picks to be bad. I don't know if they have their own pick for 2024. I think that trade, I feel like it's with Chicago or something. Maybe it's with the Pelicans. Because no, but how I they traded cheated. No, but yeah, that was that pick. Now this pick, this trade is a 14er. I think like this one, I was potentially in my bag. Like I was in my bag for this one. Once again, I didn't bless the Raptors. Like as much as I'm a Raptor fan, I tried to be as fair as possible. I didn't want the Raptors to give up too much, so I really didn't. I let them get away with contracts that she just let go, but I didn't want them to gain more contracts. I actually wanted them to give them cap space. So if you're listening to this, I really wanted more cap space than anything else. That's what I ultimately wanted. Raptors get Anthony Simons, someone who I've been wanting. The Raptors get Anthony Simons. The Blazers get Ben Simmons, Kyle Lowry, Malachi Flynn, Nikola Jovic, a 2024 first rounder, 2026 lightly protected Toronto Raptors pick, and a 2030 pick from the Heat. So that's 3 picks. The Nets get Tyler Herro and Yusuf Nurkic. That's what the Nets get, which makes them a lot better. To add Tyler plus Nurkic, Nurkic comes to the bench. That's still pretty good. Makes a lot of money, so I know it's costly. That's really costly for the Nets. The Heat get Dame Lillard, Chris Boucher, and Thad Young. So most of my trade was almost the same as my last one. I just added the Nets and I put Ben Simmons with the Trailblazers. And then the Raptors actually got Anthony Simons instead of Tyler Herro, whose contract is less than Tyler Herro's. Less than Tyler Herro's. I think they're about the same age, so it really doesn't matter. About the same age. Anthony Simons can do a lot, both dynamic players as a Tyler Herro. But I blessed the Trailblazers. They get a Ben Simmons who can be a project for them. Be like, hey, like while we still have these young guys, here's Ben Simmons who eventually, you're not gonna have to pay him. But let's see what he has. He's a guy who has 2 years left on his contract. I'm assuming the last year is not guaranteed, so we'll figure that out. Kyle, once again, off the team because he'll be waived. Malachi Flynn, let's see what we have. And then you have a young player, Jovic. Hence why I didn't include a draft pick. But you have a Jovic who could be a pretty solid big for you and see what he can do. See what can come out of him. If I had to argue one thing, I want the Raptors to get Yuri Usenovin. I'm gonna mess up the name. And I'm so good with names. But the big from the Heat, I want them to get. I believe his first name is Yuri. So I want them to get him as well. But this helps everyone. Everyone kind of the Nets get much better to me. The Nets get so much better by adding a Tyler Herro. They lose a Ben Simmons, so a guy that you don't have to worry about playing. Ben Simmons can play on the team, play the point guard the best he can, of course, with a scoop, with a shade and sharp. I help the team increase his own value, his own trade value as well. So I think it's something that if I'm Portland, I'm thinking about, especially because I can get him. The Malachi thing is not really a thing to me. I lose contract wise, Simons, Nurkic, and Dame. Yes, I get Kyle once again waived. It's his last year, and Ben Simmons is the only real contract that I got to worry about if I have to worry about anything. But I lose Nurkic's contract, I lose assignments, and I lose Dames. A lot of money's out my books completely. So guess what? What becomes the money destination? Look at Houston, got a bunch of guys. Now, can the Portland Trailblazers do the same thing? Potentially get some bigs of the future. Of course, you still have Jeremy Grant, all those things could be happening. But Jeremy Grant, I don't know who's gonna want that contract. I think it's already become probably the worst contract in the league. We can argue that. If that's for everyone else to argue. But it's something that they would think about as a whole. It's something that it makes you think. I don't know why my sweat looks like it's definitely not sweat. I think it's water. That's weird. But yeah, so like that's my last one. That last one, I believe that's more of I think it's like an A, not gonna lie. 'Cause I think everyone gets what they want. Will I want the Raptors to get something more? Yeah, I do want the Raptors to get something more. A lot more. I want the Raptors to get a young player if they get like I know Nazir Little people talk about, but I don't think the players are gonna be like, yeah, we're gonna trade all these people, but they're gonna want to keep Nazir Little because he's still young, someone that you can kind of build with a Scoot and a Shaden Sharp. So I can see all that happening. But why wouldn't the Blazers not be happy with letting go three of their largest contracts, even though they just paid Jeremy Grant, but you got to pay someone anyway. So move on with that. At least you're not going to be in the second apron anymore. Nothing you have to worry about with this like mid team. And hopefully maybe Jeremy Grant gets love somewhere else. Maybe Detroit calls and says, hey, like we want him back. Maybe that happens. You never know. But that's what I think. That's my Raptors Weekly. My Raptors Weekly was just me doing trade talks. All right, it was basically doing trade talks with Tyler Herro, and then my end one with Simon. I'll probably do it again next week too. Maybe I will eventually talk about Pascal's leadership, talk about what I can see from the Raptors, Scotty Barnes. Maybe get a guest. We'll have to wait and see. But that's just my thought process, man. Those are my trades. Comment what you guys think. Comment below. Tell me what you think. Make sure you follow on TikTok as well. Those guys sports. It's your boy Mike. Peace, love, and happiness, my friends.